Hey y'all, welcome back to the Virtual Theatremaker Workshop. I hope that you are arriving to watching this video in a place of curiosity and ease and energy and excitement. I'm really excited to be here with you. We are going to get into working and playing on our feet pretty quickly today. So we'll just start sitting for our opening breaths. I'm going to be sitting. If you want to be standing, if you want to be lying down, that's also okay. But after our opening breaths, we're going to get up and start moving around. So I would invite you to wiggle your body out a little bit. One of the main ways that systems of oppression work on limiting our lives is by constraining our bodies and keeping our bodies tight and telling us that there are only certain ways that we're allowed to be physically in our bodies. So wiggling and breathing are part of a practice of breaking those codes and declaring that we can actually be anything we want to be. So for me, getting into an open posture right now is looking like getting my feet flat on the floor. It's looking like opening my chest and putting my shoulders back and down. And it's looking like keeping my hands here flat on my thighs. It might look different for you, but something that just invites you into a different headspace and heart space. I'm going to close my eyes. If that's comfortable and safe for you, you can do the same. And if not, you can keep your eyes open with a soft gaze. First, I invite you to become aware of your breathing. Aware that air is flowing in and out. I'm feeling some tightness in my jaw. So I'm just going to encourage myself to relax that a little bit by giving myself a little bit of a rub here, because I'm working toward everything being loose and open. You might notice some of the sounds in your environment. I'm hearing a door that just opened. I heard some wind chimes on the wind just a moment ago. I'm hearing the rustle of leaves. Allow yourself to tune into those. Be aware that they're there, but not to get too attached to any one sound or sensation. And as we did last time, I would invite you to notice whatever kind of day you've had so far, and know that you have the permission, if possible, to leave any or all of that at the door. Because the next 30 minutes or so, where we are working and playing together on making creative choices, is space just for you. To be in a different relationship to your own life and a different relationship to the rest of the day. And I'll invite you to see if you can set an intention for yourself. How do you want to be in this video experience for the next half hour? You might think of how it was to watch the last one and to participate in whatever ways you could. Do you want to continue the way that you were participating and watching on Tuesday or Wednesday? Or do you want to do something different today? How do you want to be in this space on this day at this time? When you've set an intention for yourself, I invite you to take a few more breaths on your own. Give your body a little wiggle. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes if they've been closed, or return your focus back to the video more intentionally. Thanks for breathing with me. Let's get up, let's warm up. Hello, so get yourself on your feet. We are going to start with a warm up like we always will, and then we're going to move into some exercises, some games that are going to get us playing in space and playing with using our body. Remember that in this first week, what we are doing is we're tapping into ourselves, our own creative energy, and starting there. That's the foundation that I want to suggest to you. That's the foundation for creative work, all creative work, including theater making. Before we learn to work with others, before we start creating stories, we have to tap into our own capacities and our own bodies and our own minds and spirits. So that's where we're starting. I would encourage you to just start by rolling things out. So I'm starting in my hips, just rolling, getting a little bit loose. And when you're rolling your hips or moving your hips around, you can experiment with speed. So I'm going a little faster now. I'm varying my tempo is the musical word for speed. Now I'm going slowly all the way around. And you can also experiment with quality of movement, whether it's jerky or really smooth and flowing. So I'm going to scoot out of my hips up into my shoulders. And same thing, I can go really slow. With my shoulders. Or I can go really fast. And I can get jerky. Or really smooth. And sometimes, as I move into my neck, sometimes when we want to do one thing, we end up doing two things at once. So when we're thinking about just tempo, just moving slow or fast, we usually associate slow movement with a smooth quality of moving. But can you actually find a jerky but slow quality of movement? And can you find a fast but smooth quality of movement? When we go fast, we tend to also get jerky. Or if we're trying to be jerky, we tend to go fast. But one of the things that we want to learn to do as we're learning to move our bodies in different ways, and now I'm just moving into a general kind of shakeout, is we want to learn to really separate all the different things we want to do and learn how to do one thing at a time and segment. And once we learn to do one thing at a time, then we can start adding them back together in a more intentional way. And that takes time, and it takes training and discipline, and I haven't been practicing in a long time, so it's stuff that I'm still getting used to, again, is isolating different qualities of movement that I want to do in my body. Let's do our apple tree, reaching up, and then flopping over. Letting things hang as heavy as you can, working on not holding yourself up, but actually letting gravity do its work and drive you down into the ground. Here you can shake your head yes, shake your head no, nod your head yes, shake your head no. Oh, there's that yawn again. It always comes up for me down here. And then working on stacking one vertebrae at a time, rolling up as slowly as you can, letting your head hang heavy until the last moment, feeling your pelvis tuck underneath until your head comes up, step together, head turns like a balloon on a stick, chest is open. Good. One more time, reaching up. And flop. As floppy as you can get. I always like to think of myself as like a marionette, like a puppet that is operated by strings. That's kind of the image I have for how floppy I am right now. Shake your head, yes and no. Yes and no. And slowly roll yourself up, taking care that each vertebrae is stacking one at a time, making sure not to lock your knees, but keep them soft and slightly bent. Shoulders back and down, and head turns to one side, the other, one side, and the other. Good. So when I was saying about not locking my knees, I said that because I was locking them. So if you're not sure what I mean by that, if I have my knees like this, they're locked. And that means that they're eventually, if I keep them here for a really long time, they're going to kind of start cutting off circulation to the other parts of my body. And that's going to be really bad for me. And I'm going to get weak and I'm going to fall over. And if I'm in this position and someone pushes me, I'm going to fall backwards. So we like when we're working in movement-based theater or devised theater, as we're sometimes calling it too, to keep a slight bend in the knees, which allows us to stay strong. Okay? So if you feel yourself locking, you can go, oh, I'm locking. Bend and relax, because that often comes from tension. So let's do a little bit of vocal warm-up. So give yourself a massage here in your neck, remembering that we carry a lot of tension in this part of our body. Massage your resonators here. Give a massage to the rest of your face. You can use the palm of your hand, the heel of your hand is what this is called, to massage your jaw. Jaws get really tight really quickly. Open and close your jaw a little bit. Like a lion, a wide face, and a prune. And a lion, and a prune. Good. And just as we started with breath, the foundation of all voice work is breath. So when we were doing our vocal warm-up the other day, I probably should have started with breath. That's really a smarter place to be. So when we're breathing, what's happening is that air is flowing in down our windpipe, and what actually fills up is not just our lungs, but there's an organ down here called the diaphragm, which is just like a bag, basically, that fills up with air. So when I breathe in, watch what my hands do. Do you see the way that my hands pushed out? That's my diaphragm filling up with air. And then when I breathe back in, it collapses, okay? That's where our powerful breath comes from. When we're like excited or nervous, or we're just not paying attention to our breath, we'll do what's called kind of shallow breaths, where everything's coming in up here in our chest. We want to get into this deeper area here to breathe. That's where the more powerful breath that can propel us movement-wise, but also propel us in our voice comes from. So I'd encourage you, find this spot just below your rib cage and put one hand on either side. You can literally feel like, here's my last rib, and then right below that it gets a little soft and fleshy. And as I breathe in, you should feel that expand, and you should be able to feel it expand coming out through here as well. And then let it go. And you'll feel everything deflate a little bit. And, I said you should. You should is a really dangerous word, because that gets us to a place often where we feel shame if something is not working or we're not feeling what the teacher says we should be feeling. So let me rephrase that. With time and with practice, I bet that you will feel, if you're not feeling it already, I bet that you will start to feel that expansion down here in your diaphragm, and that's something to be working towards. I have to work on it all the time too. I often am breathing up here, but I want to breathe down here. So take a few more breaths, just experimenting with how that feels to feel your diaphragm expand. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. And this next time when we breathe in, we're going to breathe out on a S. Ready? Breathing in. Good. So I felt at the end, I don't know if you felt this as well, but I felt at the end my stomach get tight, or what really is my diaphragm get tight, my abs. And that shows me that I'm out of air. When we get to a place where we're out of air, one of the things that we want to do is get really tight up here to try to conserve the last little bit of breath that we have. So when you notice that happening, see if you can just redirect your energy back to focusing on the diaphragm as it's emptying and release as much tension as you can. And the idea is to fill up on breath and then go right into the hiss without taking any space in between. Because if we take space between, we're going to let go a lot of the energy that we just got in the breath. So let's try this one more time. Breathing in. Good. So for me, that using my hands this way, using my shoulders as well and my back this way, inspires me to stay as open as I can, as long as I can, instead of tightening. So that's one of the physical cues that I give my voice to not tighten up and not clench on me. Good. We're going to do, we're going to breathe in and we're going to go and see how those pop out like that. Ready? In. Good. Again. In. Good. This time we're going to do 5 f's. In. Here we go. Breathing in. Good. Ha. 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 See how that's popping? Try it. Ha. 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 Good. So that's getting us tapped into this belly part, this diaphragm part that's going to give us our powerful breath. So let's do a couple of tongue twisters, that are going to get our articulators rolling. So first one is red leather. Say that. Good. Yellow leather. Good blood. Bad blood. Okay. Try the first 2 together. I'll say it first. Red leather, yellow leather. Now you. Second part. Good blood, bad blood. Cool. And as you're doing, see if you can get as much activity happening, just like when we were chewing our gum last time. We want as much activity to be happening in this part of our mouth to get all of those consonants out. So here's the whole thing. I'll do it first, and then I'll keep doing it, and you can join me. Red leather, yellow leather, good blood, bad blood. 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 Don't forget to breathe. Red leather, yellow leather, good blood, bad blood. 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 Awesome. Cool. So I want to introduce you to an amazing person whose name was Viola Spolin. She is famous for being the creator of many of the improv games or theater games that we often play in theater classes. And when we think about improv, if you've heard that word before, or if you've ever gone to an improv show, you might be thinking of like people in a comedy club together, like saying lots of silly things to make people laugh. That is one way that improv happens, but improv or improvisation as like a bigger category of a theater maker's toolbox is really just the ability to be in the present moment and to respond to things as they happen and create something that the person hadn't planned before. And the games that Viola Spolin and the exercises that Viola Spolin came up with and that she documents in this book and other books of hers are things that are here to help us tap into a free and authentic and open quality of being from moment to moment that allows us to get out of our head and into our body. I spend a ton of time in my head. I always have gotten this feedback in acting classes that I'm stuck in my head. So if you, as we start to do these exercises today and then over the course of the next couple of weeks, if you're feeling like you're stuck in your head, I feel you. Reach out to me. Let's talk about it. It's hard to get out of our heads for some of us, but being in our bodies and being in a place where we're just able to respond to each thing as it happens is where great creative energy is flowing. So that's where we're trying to get to. And it's also the way, in terms of some of the stuff that I brought in from Theater of the Oppressed last time, this is also the way that, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning, like systems of oppression want to keep us tight and they want to keep us locked into only a couple of different ways to be. And when we can tap into this free, more authentic, more improvisatory and moment-to-moment way of being, that's where we start moving towards freedom. So together. So I just want to invite you into that. So that's enough talking. Shake your head out a little bit. I mean, shake your whole body out. And I'll just say one other thing, which is that in this kind of training where we're trying to just make creative choices moment by moment, it also means that each moment is an opportunity to check in with ourselves and reset and then start again. So if you get to a place where you're feeling tight, if you can just notice, oh, I'm feeling tight, and then go, ah, or go, or just do something that loosens you up a little bit and gets you to be in a more silly place, that can really, really help. Or actually, I learned this from a friend of mine who is a clown. And he said that whenever he lives in New York City, and whenever he runs to get on the train and he misses the train, the doors close right before he gets on it, he goes, bummer! He just says, bummer, like really loud and really forcefully. So if you're in a position where you're just getting tight and you can tell it and you're like, I can't make creative choices because I'm thinking about what the next thing is going to be and I want the next thing to be good, maybe one thing you can do is you can just go, bummer, and then that will loosen you up and get you into a freer way of being. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is an exercise that she calls feeling self with self. And this is also kind of like a body scan if you've ever done a body scan meditation. So what I'll ask you to do, keeping a soft bend in the knees and keeping this open posture that we've been working on, where it's not tight, but it is open. Chest is open, shoulders are back, head is not down or up, but just kind of forward. I'm going to ask you, and try to do this without closing your eyes, which is hard. Try to keep your eyes open. See if you can feel your feet on the floor. Like really feel your feet making contact with the floor. How much more detail can you get about your feet making all of those different points of contact with the floor? If your feet are inside of socks, or if your feet are inside of socks inside of shoes, can you feel all of those different layers before you get to the floor? Explore. How much detail can you get from that part of your body about all the sensory information that's supporting you. Good. Start scanning up your body. Can you feel your shins? Feel your shins against the space that's around you and the back of your calves. Can you feel your knees against the space? If you're wearing pants, long pants, can you feel your knees and your calves and your shins inside of the pants and then the space? As you move up to your thighs, I'm wearing shorts. Can you feel your thighs touching the shorts and then out into the space? Really get curious. See how much detail you can get from all these parts of our bodies that we're not used to being sensing. We tend to think that we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. But all these other parts of our bodies can sense things too. And by tuning in, we're training our whole body to become aware of all the stuff that's around us that could be creative. Getting into your hips. Can you feel, for me, can you feel the shorts touching the hips? Can I feel the hips and the shorts and then the belt and then the space and then the shirt? Can I feel the space between my shirt and my skin and the belt? And keep scanning up. You can do this on your own now, moving up into the torso. How much detail can you feel feeling yourself with yourself? Keeping your eyes open if you can, moving up into your chest area and your back. Especially on a kind of hot day, can you feel all the places where your shirt is clinging a little bit to your skin because it's sweaty? Can you feel the spaces where there's a little bit more room for the skin to breathe? Moving up into shoulders, moving up into arms and hands where we're a little bit more used to feeling. But how much more detail can you get? And can you feel the space around your hands, around your arms? And can you feel that space as active? Instead of just air, maybe that space is something that we can create with. And moving up into our necks and around our head. We're used to seeing and sensing with this part of our head. Can you feel the space just behind your ear? Can you feel the space up at the top of the crown of your head? Feel the space all around. Good. Let it go. And now we're going to send our sight out. So she talks about this as like, imagine that you have rays of light that are shooting out from your eyes. And I just would like you to send your sight out to one thing at a time and really see it and notice it as if you've never seen it before. And then let it see you back. And then let it go. Move on to something else. Don't pick what you're going to see, just send your sight out until something catches your attention. Really see it as though your eyes are traveling all the way out there to meet it, and then let it see you back. I've never been seen by a doorknob before. That's such an interesting feeling. Let it go. Find something else. Really see it. Your sight is sending out all the way to that thing. It sees you back. Good. Shake that out. We're going to send our hearing out in the same way. And again, try to keep your eyes open, because sometimes keeping our eyes closed, we think it helps us focus, but sometimes it cuts us off from being able to connect. So if you can, keep your eyes open and just send your ears out, your hearing out. What can you hear around you as though you've never heard it before? What if it hears you back? What is that like? Let that one go. Try to send your hearing out to something else, something you haven't heard yet. what if that hears you back? What is that like? Good. One more, let it go. Send your hearing out to find one more thing you haven't heard yet. Really listening for as many details as you can. And let it go. Cool. Shake that out. And you might have noticed, if you saw me, I was getting delighted. There were so many things happening around me that I hadn't been tuned into, I hadn't been listening to before. So many things that I saw in my room in a deeper way than I had ever seen before. And that's a practice that we can go through our days with. It's not just for theater class. It's also for just walking around, and when we notice that we're not really all there, we can try to wake ourselves up and say, can I see something? Can I tap into the actual world around me as though I've never seen it before, and be delighted by it? That can give us a lot of energy. So we're going to do two more things. I'm going to check on our time here. Cool. We're going to do just two more things, and then three more things, and then we will go for the day. So the next thing is we were talking earlier when we were doing the body scan about the space around us being an active substance rather than just air. So what I would invite you to do is to imagine the space between your palms, as a substance. And the only rule of this game, you don't need to force anything to happen, but notice, keep your palms facing each other. Notice all the ways that the space can transform and seem to be something. And notice that if I kind of flop my hands like this, the illusion is gone. I don't see anything here anymore. It has something to do with really believing that there's an active substance there, and notice the way my eyes are tracking it. That's what gives us the sense that something real is happening on a stage when we're making theater. It all has to do with the specificity of the performer really believing it's there. So just experiment with that. What's it like for this substance between your hands to grow and to shrink? And what do you need to do with your focus in order to make that alive and real? And if you lose it, if there's a moment where your hands go a little limp or your focus fades, it's okay. Just take a breath and try again. Keep going. Let it expand. Let it really expand. Let it really, 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 really shrink. It's almost so tiny I can't see it anymore. Good. Let it go. And now we're going to do the same kind of thing, except it's going to be our whole body that's responding to the substance of space. So I'm going to work toward not forcing anything to happen, but letting an experience happen. This is hard. It's hard for me to be doing this as well, but I'm inviting you into that hard task. I'm not going to force anything, but I'm going to start to feel the space around me as an active thing that is shaping my body. And that transforms. So I'm feeling all of this space around here shaping me. It's pushing me. Now it's transforming into this kind of space. And just play. See if you can say, the space is over this way now. See if you can say yes to your instincts. No matter what happens, even if you feel a little silly, if you're not sure that it's a good idea, if you're nervous someone's going to overhear you, like I'm nervous that my roommates are overhearing me right now, see if you can say, yes, I'll give it a try. Just keep playing with the space. Letting it shape you and transform and be an active substance that you are in relation to. Good. Let it go. Awesome. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 3 suggestions before we get to our closing breaths. I'm going to give you 3 suggestions for things that you can do this weekend and can share with me if you want. And you don't have to do them and you don't have to share them with me, but they might be enriching, enlivening experiences for you. So there's 3 things. I'm going to give you a song when I'll send this to you when I post this on Edmodo. I'm going to give you a song that you can use to be playing with space, either in the way that we did it between our hands or with the rest of our bodies, and see what it's like to move to music and not necessarily be dancing, but moving with the music, and see if you can listen to the ways that the music is informing your body and making your body want to move differently. So that's one thing you can do this weekend. Another thing you can do is something that I've done before on the first day of an acting class with an actual partner. And what happens is one partner says, "Who are you?" And then the other partner responds. And then the partner says, "Who are you?" And the partner responds. "Who are you?" Responds. "Who are you?" Responds. So the same person asks, "Who are you?" many times, and the next person just keeps responding. And usually the way it works is we start with saying things like, "I'm Ben. I'm 30 years old. I'm from San Francisco," or from the Bay Area. "I'm from," or I live here in Providence. We start by saying facts about ourselves, but as it keeps going, we get into some facts about ourselves that maybe we wouldn't expect to be sharing with someone. And those kinds of facts are the things that can really get us into a creative state. So I would invite you, if you have a journal or a place to write things down, literally write to yourself, "Who are you?" and then respond to it. And then write again, "Who are you?" and then respond to it. "Who are you?" Respond. See what stuff comes up. That one might get sensitive, and so for sure on that one, there's no pressure to share anything that comes up in that with me. But if there's something that you want to share because it feels helpful to your development as an artist, then you're welcome to share it with me. And then the last thing I would encourage you to do is building on what we did with seeing, or sending our sight out, sending our hearing out, and really seeing and hearing things in our environment. Try that out this weekend. Just see what you notice walking around your house. Are there little nooks and crannies that have always been kind of interesting and mysterious to you? Can you see your family members in a different way than you've seen them before? Can you see the things in your bedroom that you think you know very well in a new way? What can you hear differently? If you're taking a walk outside, can you just notice new things in your environment? Training that ability to notice and to become aware of all of the stuff around us is a huge part of becoming an artist, because all of that stuff is stuff that we can use in our art to create stories and create characters. All that art really is kind of filtering of the experiences we're already having into a structured form. That's really all it is. So I just encourage you to keep noticing, keep seeing, keep hearing new things. Okay? So I'll put those in the note, and let's do our closing breaths. Okay, so as always, we're going to close with 4 breaths together. So I'll invite you to get back into an intentional, open, alert space, sitting down or lying down or standing up if you want. Close your eyes if it's comfortable. Keep them open with a soft gaze if it's not. And we'll take a breath first for the ancestors each of us brings to this space, and for the indigenous people that were here before colonization. Breathing in and out. A breath to thank yourself for your practice today. Breathing in and out. A breath to thank others for their support. Breathing in and out. And a breath for the intentions and well-being of everyone in the PASA summer camp community and everyone in your family and your circles of friends. Breathing in and out. The loving and creative human in me celebrates the loving and creative human in you. Thank you for playing with me today. Have a restful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week.